today's episode, we're talking about toxic positivity, what it is and how it can impact a workplace culture. So stay with us and enjoy.
I'm effectively still in my PJs. I haven't showered yet. I'm not entirely sure I'm going to today. I might just not bother. It feels like one of those days.
And I just like stood up like that, and then it was on Zoom, and all I could see was me just lifting myself up off my chair.
I haven't really had any decent stories for a long time. Apologies, listeners. Life has been either fairly sedate, or probably the more alternative is nothing that's happened to me really in the last couple of months is possible to be shared because of those that could be listening, let's just say. Talks about toxic positivity as being, the false, fake positivity that's used to make others feel more comfortable with a situation or scenario. So often the individual who is showing the toxic positivity is doing so because they themselves cannot handle the emotions that are being presented to them.
Probably moved them on too quickly. So I was like, well, let's stay positive.
Yeah.
And that's a great example of where my intent was absolutely right, because it was, my intent is positive. It's like, well, let's think about how we can, galvanize the situation, look at the glass half full side of things, have some optimism there. But what I didn't do, now reflecting and knowing more about this subject, is probably, create the space and acknowledge, actually, that must be really hard for you at the moment.
Dismissing your emotions, or rather not allowing yourself to process them fully, that's not resilience at all. That's not being resilient. You're doing actually the opposite, because it creates more fragility. Because actually the more you're able to understand your emotions, sit with them, process them, interpret them, understand them, the stronger you become.
I've seen this happen where, in the instance I saw it, is that things were kind of clearly falling apart and things clearly weren't where they needed to be, and nobody was acknowledging it. So nobody was calling it out.
Yeah.
Nobody was, kind of saying, this isn't great. There's some stuff happening here that's, not what we expected and is impacting, where I think we were at, etc. So stuff was clearly falling apart, but yet there was still this really positive spin on things.
All it is sharing a different perspective. Yes, I appreciate there's a way to do that in a way that can be therefore received in the right way, but actually just the act of doing it shouldn't be what's criticised. And I think that's the danger here in workplaces, and what Susan David calls the tyranny of positivity in work, because too much is placed on the labelling of emotions as good or bad. And as soon as they're oversimplified in that way, anything that's bad or negative is dismissed as not being acceptable. Yeah. Thank you so much for listening. And remember, CBBS, you've got this.